74% of retailers in Asia Pacific are struggling with inflation post-pandemic, with supply chain issues affecting product availability. To tell us more about this, we have Guillaume Sachet from KPMG in Singapore. Guillaume, what has changed in Asia Pacific's retail industry since the pandemic?
Actually, there are six big trends that we see in a post-COVID world. The first one is really that we see the arrival of what we call seamless commerce. Seamless commerce is a evolution or even a revolution as compared to what we used to call omni-channel, right? Because it's much more integrated from your supply chain to your AI solution to your technology. And what we see is the retailer have heavily invested in technology. The second trend is really around the Gen Z. I mean, these are the consumer of tomorrow. They are really shaping the future of e-commerce and commerce in the retail industry. They have different ways of using technology, and it's something that we can discuss more a bit later. The third one is really around AI. Everybody is talking about AI, Gen AI, how it's starting to shape the experiences in the retail industry. And I have a couple of data, right? The first one is that one of the leading e-commerce platform in the region says that 88% of consumer may purchase decision via AI-led recommendations, right? 91% of Southeast Asia shoppers are confident that AI can identify products that are most relevant to them. The fourth one is really around the continued rise of digital payments. We see that e-wallets is getting a lot of traction in Southeast Asia, especially in the developing economies, whereas in the more developed, more mature markets, credit cards are still leading. The fifth one is really about knowing your customers, how you use data, and how you create a value exchange between you and your customers. They share data with you, but at the same time, they expect more knowledge, more tailored solution, more personalization, some say hyper personalization. I give you my data about my needs and wants. At the same time, I expect you to be able to really treat me as a segment of one. And the last one, which is also critical, is sustainability, right? More and more of the customers are making buying decisions based on the values of the companies and the brands and whether they are promoting sustainability or not. So these are really the six trends that we see in a post-pandemic world.
Now, going back to what you've mentioned earlier, Gen Zs, in what way are Gen Z consumers specifically influencing retail trends in the region?
The first thing is Gen Z, and we are talking here about the generation born between 1995 and 2010. They are really driving unprecedented changes, right? What we see is that 86% of the Gen Z are more likely to support brands with clear sustainability commitments. 79% of them, they buy into brand that aligns with their values. 45% prefer omni-channel shopping, and 41% would rather lose their wallet than their smartphone. So you need to know your Gen Z. You really need to understand how they use technology. This is a generation that is born, for most of them, that is born with mobile device in their hands, right? So they really use technology. They use mobile payments for 28% of them. They use social commerce for 22% of them. They use live stream for 17% of them. So really, they are changing the game in the way we are doing e-commerce, right? And when they shop online, what they value most, again, a couple of data, 25% value the wide product variety. But what is more important, 23% value competitive pricing. And 20% value fast and reliable delivery. So you can see that the Gen Z is really changing the game here. And the last piece that I want to share is really the fact that they are focusing on live streaming and social commerce, right? 57% of them use live streaming, and 63% of them use social commerce. They see these two as very important to them.
So, Guillaume, considering all these factors and the trends that you've mentioned earlier, what key challenges are retailers facing in the region currently, and is there any workaround for it?
The key challenge is really the ability of the retailers to adapt to these new generations of buyer, which are digital native, and whilst they are digital native, at the same time they value the brick and mortar experience, because this is a generation that is very much into experience. And for the retailer, one of the challenges is really how, if I am a brick and mortar retailer, how do I now move into the digital space? And if I'm an online only retailer, how I also start to think about the physical experience. So that's one big area, the adaptation. The second thing I would raise is that AI technology is very important, and a lot of the retailers are looking at how they can automate, how can they digitize a number of the transaction, especially when it's very commoditized. But at the same time, if the transaction or the interaction, the touch point becomes more complex, there is an expectation that human touch will come in. And more, we see a bit of a dilemma for the retailers between the full digital, the full automation, but at the same time, the need for human touch, the need for empathy. And empathy to me is really a critical word here, because we are in a very digitalized online world. At the same time, I think the empathy is something that the new generation of buyers will ask more and more. If they have an issue with their purchase, they will want someone to be there and be able to treat them really with being helpful, treating them with care, and really showing that empathy that the customers need.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Guillaume.
Thank you, Seth, for having me.
Once again, that was Guillaume Sachet, partner at KPMG in Singapore. He will also be speaking at the Retail Asia Summit on November 20. So for more news and a chance to network with industry leaders at the Retail Asia Summit, don't forget to sign up at retailasia.com.